All right, it's shifter boot day in the Corvette. Let me show you what I'm working with. So this is the replacement part. The other one was just really destroyed. What's happening on the bottom here, see this is pretty funky, is there's these clips, but on this one, and maybe it's because of replacement part, they're pretty weak and they're also getting crushed, and I don't want to move these too much because I feel like if I move them back and forth too much, they're just going to break off. But these clips, they go down here and they're supposed to clip under this, which is kind of weird because the rest of them have screw holes. You can see there's 6 screw holes in the plate, and these are the screws. These are the original. They look like that. And one of them is a little longer. I don't know why. It's like a tiny bit longer. But maybe I'll look in the assembly manual and see. So I just put some tape on the on here so I could see if the replacement part is lining up with the holes, and it pretty much does, although the holes are not really lined up to the body. I mean, look at this one. It's barely hitting anything. It's barely in the metal. It's like halfway. But I mean, that's the way it was. These are obvious. There's only one set of holes here, so it wasn't ever different. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape some of this crap off, or grind it off, because this does have a rubbery underside, but I don't want to. I don't know if I will or not. I might put a bead of RTV around it. I don't know. I don't really want to goop things up with RTV, but at the same time, this is pretty rough. This opening, it's got like, here's like a rivet. There's another rivet over there. It's pretty rough, and I do want it to seal, even though I don't think it's a huge deal. I mean, this thing will be over it, and then I can always kind of tape on top of it with the metal tape. However, I don't know. It's just, I don't really trust these too much. I'd like to get a better seal. And actually, see, there's no rubber around there to seal it here. So I might put a bead of RTV. I don't know. We'll see. So that's what I'm dealing with. It's also, this part right here is more of an angle. This thing needs to be bent down more. In other words, this right here, this curve needs to be bent more. So it is a little bendable. So I'll do that. Get a test fit, and then put it in place. All right. Next step. Okay, so after doing a fit of this plate, I decided I need to re-drill the holes. I need to drill my own holes in here because they just are different. You can see here, the one that was in here, the hole was like here. It's right under there somewhere, on the edge. And this is much better. So that's aligned. These are all aligned, and this part is down here. This curved part is really hugging this area, which is what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and drill new holes. These look like they're kind of not self-tapping, but they'll go into the sheet metal if I drill the right size hole. So that's what I'm going to do. We're having new holes. All right, so I drilled my new holes as best I could. I had a couple issues over here because the new holes were so close to the old holes that it was really hard to change the position. I also discovered something interesting, which is this. So there's a plate that is sandwiched under here, runs under here, and it's only about this wide. And what I discovered is actually these holes are on the outside of the plate. The plate only goes to about here. It's not that thick. And These are going into the plate. These are going into the plate. You can see it under there. But these holes are not really. They're sort of missing it. So that means these screws are only going through the fiberglass. And then over here, you can see see that big glob of stuff right there? I don't know if it's supposed to be like that on purpose. There's a space there. And maybe, you know, this is supposed to, these clips are supposed to go just on the fiberglass. But I thought that's a little weird. So I need to investigate that real quick and see. You see, like the clip is supposed to go in there, but there's really not much room for it. So I need to see if this glob of stuff right here, basically if that's supposed to be there or not. It looks pretty weird to me. It looks kind of random. So I might need to clear that out. And then we'll see. Anyway, I have to research that. So this is the assembly manual for 71, but this says 3-speed auto trans lever bracket. I'll see if I can find the manuals, which is what I need. But here you see this retainer, and then a seal, and then a plate. So retainer, seal, and plate. Doesn't look quite the same. 2 pages down, there is this one, which is 3-speed auto trans. Yeah, still, this is for the cable, but it just shows that. So that looks like it has bolts all the way in. I don't really see anything in here for manual, unfortunately. I'll keep looking. All right, well, this is the only other page that shows anything about a transmission. Obviously, this is the manual, but it doesn't show how this all connects. So back out to the car. Okay, gang. So I just took a little chisel, an old beat up chisel that I have, and I just knocked that piece of stuff right off of there. I don't think that was anything intentional. So I also cleaned up here. There was a little bit. Here there was a little bit of extra. And so I also discovered these are going through the metal on the other side, so that's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook this up. I'm just gonna put a little bit of RTV to fill in some of these rough, just the roughness overall. I'll put a little bead of RTV, it'll be fine. It'll still allow it to be serviced in the future. It's not gonna glue on there. I also put a little grease down in here, just for now. I'm gonna probably have the whole transmission serviced as soon as I can anyway, so I think we're good to go. So let's try to get this thing, bolted down. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, job is done, you guys. Check it out. All the screws went in. By the way, these are 5/16 heads on those, if you want to use a socket, which is what I did. And the drill size that I ended up using to drill the hole before I just rammed the screw in there to get the threads going was a 9/64. But you could probably do a 5/32, something like that would be okay. I drilled the holes through the metal, and then I, of course, used the impact socket to, you know, drill the screw down and get some threads going in there. And I did all that before I put the plate on, of course. Got a little bit of squish on the RTV, which is a good sign, I think. A little bit down around the edges. But this looks good now. Very happy with this. So the clips over here went right in and smooth, and they weren't getting all jacked up, and that's because that blob was there earlier. So by knocking that off, this thing just went right down where it's supposed to be. It's much tighter now against the body. And, you know, no offense to the GM workers on the production line, but I think what I witnessed here, what we all just saw, was an instance where somebody had a glob of body filler. It wasn't supposed to be there, and then somebody else came along after that and was trying to put the plate on and just kind of stuck it on however. because you saw where the hole was drilled over there on this hole. It was barely even in. So this is right now, which is one of the nice things about doing restorations yourself, is that sometimes you can actually make the car better and do a better job, because you're just like, you know, a team or one person doing everything as best you can, as opposed to somebody who's trying to get the job done and go home, which is fine. You know, no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be a assembly line worker, but case in point. Anyway, hope you guys learned something. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. And it's time to get it in gear. Make some progress.